You're listening to the PRO Media Network. The next level in entertainment.
Here he goes. Throwing it down. How about a poster? Anthony Davis is on fire.
You're listening to the Pelicans post-game report on the PRO Media Network for all things Pelicans.
For all things Pelicans, you're listening to the Pelican post-game report on the PRO Media Network. I'm Big Q, and chiming on in with us tonight is DC. DC, what's going on with you, DC?
Looking at what them Pelicans trying to do, that's about it.
Pelicans, man. As it stands, the Pelicans on podcast 203. I'd like to thank y'all for joining us on the Pelican post-game report. And in this special Pelican post-game report, I want to be covering a few things, by the way. Most importantly, we're going to talk about the draft. The Pelicans did make a selection. In the second round, pick 51, they picked up a young guard who could play the 1, 2, and I think possibly the 3 as well to help the Pelicans out at that position. A young man by the name of Tony Carr from Penn State. Is that correct, DC? Penn State?
Yep, that would be correct.
And we're going to talk about Mr. Carr today and what we think, how he'll be utilized with the Pelicans. We'll also give you some news today on DeMarcus Cousins situation. His rehab is going real good. He put out a video about him exercising and rehabbing. And then we'll also talk about Frank Jackson, see where he is. As Frank Jackson possibly getting the backcourt roommate now, and so to speak, with Tony Carr there. So 2 interesting guards that the Pelicans picked up. It'd be interesting to see what those guys look like together in the summer leagues. And then, of course, we'll talk about the Pelicans did get 3 other players as well for the Summer League team. We'll break those guys down today on the show. Like I said, thank you for listening today on the Pelican Postgame Report, episode 203 on the Pelican Postgame Report. And this is just a short show, about 15 minutes long, but we got a lot to cover. And let's get right on to it. DC, starting with the pick. The Pelicans, a lot of speculation about the Pels, talking about jumping up, talking about going and get this guy and that guy. And Dale Demps didn't do anything. Dale Demps just sat back and waited and got Tony Carr. Tell me about Tony Carr. What's the word on him?
Tony Carr is actually a pretty good player, man. He was first team, all Big Ten. He had an up and down freshman season, of course, but he improved. 19.9 points a game, man. Shot about 16 shots a game. Shot about 40%, and I think 43% or so from the three-point line, man. This dude is an excellent scorer. Doesn't really have a lot of athleticism, though. He's not very explosive. Can't really jump that high. But he is 6'6", and he seems to have a high basketball IQ. He gets his teammates involved. He loves to dish the ball, even though he is a high scorer. There's a lot of knocks on him and say he don't like to follow the traditional plays, but everything I watched and seen on him, he's very smooth. He has a knack for getting people to let him get to his spots, and he'll raise up and shoot over you if you're smaller. So he can get to the free throw line, but probably not as much as he should. He's about an 80% free throw shooter. I think it's a real good pick, man, to say 51. A lot of people had this guy going in the first round, so I think he said himself he's going to be the steal of the draft. So I hope that pans out. Now, I've also heard comparisons, 3 different people, man. He says he patents his game after Drew Holiday, and also Sam Cassell. And that seemed like a real good comparison to me. Sam Cassell wasn't blowing by anybody, but he just had a way of scoring and kind of getting to his spots, man. So hopefully Tony Carr can be that type of player for us. If so, then I say, man, we get at an A. Bearing the circumstances, I think the Pelicans made possibly the best move they could.
That's right. Dale Demps did stand pat. He didn't do any extra stuff. He got the guy that he thought that can really help the team right away. And the thing I really like about the Tony Carr move before we move on to DeMarcus Cousins news is the fact that Carr has good size. He can shoot the ball from deep. He can get to the lane. Like you said, he'll work on being a strong finisher. The Pelicans get him in the conditioning room and let him lift weights or whatnot. But he has a heart of a lion. He's determined. And all those attributes are something that the Pelicans can use. And he's clutch, too.
Hit some game winners. I like that about him.
Right. He's a clutch player. And like I said, I can't overemphasize the fact that he's a guard that can shoot threes. He has size, and the way Al Gentry likes to employ those three guard looks, Tony Carr could possibly have a future here in New Orleans with Dale Demps' system. So I definitely like those things. I definitely like the pick. So let's move it to our next conversation. We'll talk about DeMarcus Cousins as well. DeMarcus Cousins, of course, he's rehabbing. There's a video that was put out by, I would say, Cousins' people, because it came with all the smoke and mirrors, music and everything, showing DeMarcus doing a bevy of different things.
1 week before free agency.
Right, swimming and jumping and leaping and running full speed on treadmills and everything. And DeMarcus, I got to be honest with him, he looks really good, man. Look like the rehab is gone and look like he's going to be ready to go when free agency hit. And, of course, a lot of talk out there about DeMarcus not coming back, I think, is a bunch of hooey. Dale Demps is not going to trade as much as he traded to get DeMarcus here, then let him walk for free. So y'all stop it out there with that nonsense and all that foolishness, man. Understand that DeMarcus Cousins is definitely going to be a Pelican. The Pelicans are doing a smart thing. They're allowing the market to dictate what they're willing to pay DeMarcus Cousins, and trust and believe he's going to be the other $100 million player in the triad, I like to call it. Drew Holiday got his this past season. DeMarcus is going to get him in this year, and then AD will complete the triad next year. So, hey, man, trust and believe that DeMarcus Cousins isn't going anywhere. He looks like he's on full schedule. A lot of people out there talking about they won't get a shot at him. Dallas been talking that stuff. Phoenix been talking that stuff. And there's a handful of other teams talking about they want to offer DeMarcus Cousins money. In the end, they can offer whatever they want. The Pelicans are going to match it in some, and Cousins going to be a center in New Orleans for a while. So get used to that. DC, comments on that?
I'm going to go to the latter route, of course. You got to be a little bit of a devil's advocate. I believe worst case scenario is still the best case scenario. Even if DeMarcus Cousins doesn't come back, we obviously are not going to let him walk for nothing. So it would be some type of sign and trade deal. Of course, everybody would like to see Kawhi Leonard or something like that, but it's no telling what the Pelicans front office can pull off, even if they aren't able to bring DeMarcus Cousins back, which I think at this point, judging from his videos, and it's July 1st now, still obviously not what he was, but how many teams are willing to really risk giving him $150 million or so because of that? I don't think they're going to have a lot of people. I think DeMarcus Cousins comes back for somewhere around $120, $130 million, 4 or 5 year deal. And it's pretty much what it is. Anything outside of that would be pretty shocking. And I think even if it was different, we'll probably get some type of player or some compensation for his time down here. Everything else was pretty much nothing.
I got you, but still in all, I just think that based upon the actions of what Dale Demps has done in the past, that's always been the standard movements. In 2 other situations, they shout that from the hilltops. The other movement was, of course, the trade that got Amir Asik down here. Upon getting Amir Asik, the very next free agent period. Right. Exactly. That's the next thing. So it's a couple.
Even though he didn't want to stay.
Same thing.
I really disagree with, and I think that held us back.
That did. Both of those deals were actually pretty bad, but in the end, he was able to parlay the Omer Asik bad trade move into getting Nikolai Mirotic. We finally got from under Gordon's contract, got him out of here. So in the end, he did what is right. The next albatross around his neck is Solomon Hill, which should be a lot easier to move per se. But DeMarcus Cousins is on point, man. He's looking good. Right, it's not the same amount of money. It's a lot easier. So DeMarcus is on his definitely.
It's about the same amount of money as it was from Ashik and Solomon Hill. $48 million as opposed to what, 53 or something.
I don't remember. I think Asik was making like 10+ million a season, so it's right around. You're probably right. It is right around the same amount of money. Solomon Hill, hopefully to bring a little bit more value. He was injured to try to show other teams that he's actually healthy enough to contribute to whatever they got to do. The Pelicans might have to give up another asset to try to provoke other people to move Solomon Hill. It'll be interesting to see how Dale Demps and assistants get that move done as they build the Pelicans bench, which is a very important thing as well that we need to pay attention to in another show, but we'll get that covered as well. Also in the show, let's talk about Frank Jackson. Frank Jackson's a guy we don't really mention that much. We talk about the rookie coming back into his first full year. There was a report out saying that Frank Jackson is he's 100%. He's ready to go. He'll be 100% by the summer league. And this is according to a report coming from RotoWire, which is saying that after missing the entire season, Jackson has rehabbed, and it appears that he's almost at the end of his recovery, and he's set up to be 100% going into the summer league, which is interesting. And really, we want to see what young Jackson is going to do in this situation, because you add Tony Carr and Frank Jackson, that backcourt could be very well the future of the Pelicans backcourt in the future. So it'd be interesting to see what they look like off the bench. What do they foresee with Frank Jackson bringing? We don't know what he can be able to bring to the team if he's gotten over what his game looks like after having that long season with those foot surgeries. So, but and having him with Tony Carr, that youthfulness, that athletic ability of Frank Jackson, the shooting ability of Tony Carr, I tell you what, they both has size. Jackson is 6'3", 205. Tony Carr is another guy. He's 6'6", 200 plus. So these guys, young guys, they bring athleticism and shooting to the Pelicans. Definitely a very good shot.
Tony Carr is not bringing no athleticism, man. I'm not going to let you lie about that.
Tony Carr is going to come in. He's going to give everything he got.
But Frank Jackson brings more than enough athleticism to make up for what Tony Carr is not bringing. I think out of all the guys, the young guys we got, he probably has the most potential. People forget that he was on a Duke team that had 2 other first-round players, and he still averaged about 10 points. And I think he has a lot of potential. We're going to see if he can reach it. He has a guy like Rondo that he sat under for a whole year. I'm sure that has to be worth something. So as long as he's healthy, I think we could very well be in a very good position finally with our bench.
Well, hopefully that be the case this year, because the bench is very important in many perspectives, definitely in many ways. Let's go into our other discussion.
3 goals since then. Looking forward to see what Frank Jackson can do.
Absolutely.
Definitely.
Let's go into our other talk. We're going to talk about the rest of the acquisitions, I guess you could say, for Summer League, as the Pelicans get ready and get lined up for Summer League action coming to play. 3 other guys were signed to the Pelican Summer League team. Derek Willis, a 6'9", 230-pound forward from Kentucky. We just love those Kentucky guys so much. He averaged about 12 points a game, almost 7 rebounds in G League the previous year. So that's good production from Willis, good size. We'll see what he can do in Summer League. Brian McIntosh, a point guard, spent 4 years as a starter for Northwestern, averaged about 12 points a game, 5 rebounds in there for Brian McIntosh. He'll get an opportunity with the Pelicans. And then, of course, we have a very interesting prospect, Mr. Trayvon Blewett, who finished second in all-time scoring points for the Xavier, for University of Xavier, And he has good size, 6'6", 215, averaged about 19 points a game, shot 44% from the field last year, and 42% from deep. So one of those other young guys that has size. The Pelicans bringing this guy. Won't exactly know what he's going to be, but hopefully he'll be something. But that'll do it for the show today.
That's the guy that we're trying to make on the wing.
Right.
Is him. Number one undrafted player, too.
Right. So, but that's going to do it for the show. Thank y'all for joining us on the Pelican Post Game Report on the PRO Media Network. As always, check our show out and share, like, and everything like that there. Appreciate you. Thank you. And we also like to bring to your attention the fact that the PRO Media Network push for 10,000 subs on YouTube is ongoing. So if you like the Pelican Post Game Report or the Sports Coma and other PRO Media Network podcasts, please do your best by sharing it with your friends, your family, and everybody else to help that push for 10,000. From me in DC, peace.
What up, sports world? It's Big Q from the Sports Coma, representing the PRO Media Network, letting you know that the PRO Media Network is in a push now on a mission to gain 10,000 subs. That's right, 10K on the subs. And to help promote to get 10,000, the PRO Media Network is not only going to be doing the shows that you love so much about the Saints, the Pelicans, or LSU, but also it'll expand out the bigger stories about the NFL, the NBA, and even include new content dealing with anime, gaming, and even movie reviews in an attempt to expand out its platform. So if you're a fan of the PRO Media Network, the Sports Coma, or the Pelican Post Game Report, and other podcasts made by the PRO Media Network, please join us in our efforts in our mission to get 10,000 subs. Share us with fans, share us with friends, share us with family members, and help the PRO Media Network gain 10,000 subs. Peace.
Forget ESPN or Fox. Get